I'm James Epler. As we continue our conversations with Lubbock City Council candidates, we're focused today on District 1. The incumbent is Christy Martinez-Garcia, who is running for re-election. She also has served as the mayor pro tem. Joins us in studio now. And first of all, running for re-election, you've got 4 years to look back on. What are you most proud of?
I am most proud of my public engagement. I have been completely active and transparent, really connected. I attend neighborhood association meetings. I'm there every month for one in particular. Only missed twice in 4 years, if you can believe that. And then as councilwoman, I have perfect attendance because I'm so committed. And people often think, you know, I've been a part of Lubbock 101, and they're really surprised. We make $25 a month. And like I always tell people, it's not about the money, obviously. It's about the commitment to community. And that's something that I believe is something I am very proud of because I've demonstrated. Some people talk about it. I'm constantly putting it into action.
Well, showing up, of course, is half the battle. What about some things that you've actually done that you're proud of since serving?
Well, you know, one of the things when I first started is I noticed that we had a lot of aging infrastructure in our community. We now have, you know, this new water tower. I guess that's my big reminder. Every time I go into one specific neighborhood, I'm looking and I'm like, oh my God, that water tower is significant. And that has like increased and improved water pressure for that area. We have, you know, and I know at first some folks were against replacing our very old pools with splash pads. Go there, and by the way, they're opening on May the 1st. Swing by there and check it out on any given day. You have so many families there, and that's why I'm also working on a futsal court. Do you know what that is? A futsal court, it's the new thing in the big cities and Dallas and whatnot, and it's a soccer field. And so that's something that we have coming up. But I want to make everything like centralized in that neighborhood so families can really take the time to be there. We're in the future hoping to have outdoor fitness equipment. We're improving our basketball court. We're just restructuring a little bit, but that's the other thing. In my neighborhoods, we had a tennis court that had not gotten used for a long time. Well, now it's a basketball court. So we've had to think outside the box and really get creative with things. But I think all the new infrastructure, the street maintenance dollars that we have put in the last 4 years, I've increased it significantly. And even though we had road bonds, I had to be really creative about how we obtain those dollars. So what I did is, yes, take your road bonds, but I will take some of that street maintenance dollars. And we've all, in just 4 years, not including road bonds, and 2026, we've increased it or been able to get $14 million directed to District 1. I think that's pretty significant.
It's a lot. When you're running as an incumbent, you run on your record.
Absolutely.
One of the big criticisms from people in your district, specifically in the South Overton neighborhood, I think it's safe to say residents there are angry with you about the decision to approve a student housing project. Back in 2023, here's what you said: this is not parallel with the needs of the residents of this neighborhood. So within a year of that, you decided to go ahead and approve it. So people have used words like betrayal and problems with integrity. Can you make us understand a little bit better about why you chose to go ahead and approve that?
One of the things that I did is I held meetings with, and that was my big concern with the developer originally, is I'm like, how are you connecting with the community? And because they had not, I voted against it. I did not feel that they had done a very committed effort. But over the year, they responded to a lot of the needs. We have requirements of any person trying to build, any business trying to build in our districts. They followed the process. We met with both parties, or I met with both parties. I was very objective, but in the course of a year, these folks did their homework and they prepared and they did everything in order to follow the process. I would have liked for them to lower. But the other part is that when you have a private property like that, it's very difficult. Even if I would have voted against it, that would have probably passed. But I felt confident that this was going to be an opportunity for the neighbors to benefit from each other.
Did they tell you their minds had changed on it after meeting with the developers?
Some did, some didn't, and that's the sad part, you know. But the other part is we're going to be getting all this new infrastructure around that complex. The other part is we're having street maintenance done to the area. And, you know, when Lubbock is dealing with housing shortfalls, I think it's also going to create an opportunity there. The students, I mean, Texas Tech is growing, Lubbock is growing. I think this is an opportunity, and sometimes it's hard to see all the benefits of the opportunity, but I think there's some really positive things coming in the future. If for folks that have Airbnbs in that neighborhood, you're going to have families coming in to see their kids. I think that'll create some opportunity there. When you're walking to games, that's another opportunity. It's so close to the campus that I think we're going to also reduce the number of cars coming in around the area.
The construction company behind this project is Tynert. On your campaign finance reports, it looks like the CEO has donated a significant amount to your reelection campaign. First of all, is that accurate? And if so, can you understand why that may rub some people the wrong way and make them question where your interests and loyalties really lie? And how can you reassure them?
Well, I appreciate you asking that. First of all, I was not the person, I didn't ask for money. It kind of flowed in. And I think, you know, I also voted to sustain impact fees, which impacted developers like Tynert. So, you know, this is what I've learned being in council. You're going to have people that like your decisions, and then they're not going to like your decisions, and everything is as you're dealing with it at that time. And I don't even recall because, you know, like I said, I had different folks from the community that have supported me. And, you know, we need dollars for advertising and to get the word out. But no, I think I've made it very clear to anybody that has contributed to my campaign, my vote's not for sale. And I think that's important to say that because I want to work with folks, but I am very objective, and someone that has really cultivated my profession, you have to be objective and you have to do your homework. And I think engaging and including everyone, that really makes a difference. But, you know, only time will tell. And I feel confident that people can trust me. They've seen me in action. They've seen when I've had to stand up for issues that were popular with one group and not the other. So I hope that that is something that people will speak to.
Let's talk about the budget. Last 2 years, we have seen City Council small increases in our property taxes. Stuff's not getting cheaper. Do you expect that that is going to be a trend that we see continue this next fiscal year?
You know, I hate raising taxes. It's not anything that I ever like to do. And the very first year that I came into council, we did a no new revenue. And what I've learned over the years is you have to take it play by play. I mean, you deal with it as it comes and with what's happening around you. The first year was no new revenue, and then the second time we had to do that small increase. In this particular one, we did about, you know, the average $100,000 valuation of a single family home is $15.33. We're so mindful because we know that families are struggling. We see it, we're dealing with it. You know, I personally can tell you, I mean, I've experienced what we're dealing with in that regard. So it's not an easy thing, but I think we're very mindful. We don't want to just put more burden on families. We want to do everything that we can to support them and help them and make sure that we're really engaging and assuring them a good quality of life living in Lubbock, Texas.
Your opponent, Pat Kelly, told me no new taxes, no matter what. Is that even reasonable? Is that possible?
I see everything that we do as like a toolbox. Just to give you an example, you know, impact fees, that's part of the toolbox. Street bonds, that's part of the toolbox. Everything has a purpose and not everything fits into the same room. It's easy to say that, but it's not always possible. But I think when you're mindful and you really know what's going on in your community, then I think that's when you make a decision. And I'm known for doing my homework. Everybody knows I prepare. I don't go in there because sometimes I'm the lone voice, but I also have to be the voice of reason. And I know because I do a lot of work in the community, and so I see the needs. We have a lot of families that are, are not making, I mean, probably 49% of our families are struggling with their daily wages and making a living in this community. So that's important.
Some of the areas of District 1, very tough, and even what are known as food deserts, according to the USDA. What can the city do to encourage more development and more businesses for the residents of District 1 so they can have fresh food nearby?
Well, I don't think that it's just, I mean, when you say food deserts, we've got so many restaurants. So, to say that we don't have any restaurants and businesses.
Oh, no,
now,
I'm
grocery
not.
stores. But let me tell you about the South Plains Food Bank.
Okay.
And this is not something the city's doing. This is something that I've done. But I personally have worked with the food bank to bring them into the park when we had a neighborhood night out event. I addressed recently, we have the Heart of Lubbock. I've worked with Dina Jeffries to make sure that our neighborhoods are being included when they're coming out and bringing food to those neighborhoods. So I think that's really important. We also have neighborhoods that have been proactive and have planted gardens. Isn't that I think that's an opportunity because we go back to the basics and we can have fresh quality food. I know I've had, like the other day I was at a neighborhood association. One thing they said is they want to do a farmer's market. We also have a farmer's market downtown. So there's lots of opportunities. If you go to the flea market, there's fresh produce. So there are food opportunities, not to mention that you even have folks like Amigos, if you're talking about North University. Amigos has, I think if you go into their produce section, has really done a very, I take pride in that. Plus we have other chain stores that are geared towards that community.
To be clear, a food desert is a USDA term specifically about grocery stores and access to free food. We've seen grocery stores opening in South Lubbock, more are coming online.
Yes.
As a representative for District 1, how can you convince a United or an HEB to say, hey, Northeast Lubbock, we got folks here who will buy and need something close by?
But they have. We have Amigos on North University. In East Lubbock, we have United. I would love to see an HEB. We also have a Walmart. Walmart is an amazing, they have a whole grocery store there. Not to mention, you've got, a lot of grocery stores directed to the Hispanic community.
Cultural considerations for sure.
Cultural consideration, cultural competency of what we like to eat and need, and we have that there. So can't say that that doesn't exist. We have been, I can do everything I can because one of the things I've also been very proactive with economic development and have really worked with LEDA. But those are two different types of business. But my relationships with folks like HEB, I think that really speaks volumes and has helped us. I constantly say, I need a store near us. But the other part is, where do you put it? These folks, we provide some resources for them, but it's up to them to find all that. We can't do that work for them, but we can provide the resources that we provide to anybody and everybody.
What have you learned in your first 4 years in office? I mean, every job comes with a learning curve, right?
Absolutely.
I've had this one for 4 years. What is something that you've learned in city government?
Well, I will tell you this. For me, it's very important. I used to work for City Hall. I was in public information. And I think it's important, one of our most important assets are our employees. I made it a point upon becoming a council member to go and meet with every department that I could where I saw areas like, for example, I deal so much with animal services. It's such an important department, but here's what you don't always see, the stresses of the job. We sometimes have turnover because these poor folks are dealing not only with pets, but having to do, things that the average person can't handle, or dealing with public that comes off not understanding that there's a process for everything. I think the other part is when you're in the background, you see all the moving parts, but when you're a citizen, you don't see the time it takes to follow the process and those moving parts. I would like to see, I want to see things happen faster. Unfortunately, we have a process, and that is because we have to protect the public and the assets of the city, the employees, I mean, there's just so many moving parts. The other thing that I have learned is when you get elected, you can either make it something that you commit to with your full heart, or you can only show up at council meetings every other week. I've probably put 35, sometimes more hours a week, and I have a full-time job. So I think that really speaks volumes, because it's important to be committed when you're serving the public.
I think that's right. Set one goal for the next 4 years if you're reelected. What's one thing you'd like to see accomplished?
Well, you know, we need to continue to offer the tools to our employees and the departments. We've been on a job freeze. We've had, you know, people doing double duty. You have, you know, police officers doing extra work, fire, all our first responders, all these employees. We need to make sure that we're offering them the tools. And, you know, they have been wonderful, because here's the other part. Even with police working with, you know, less, we've been able to bring crime down. So I think that's a good trajectory. But we now have a meet and confer. I want to make sure that we get through that. The other thing that I think is really important, you know, we always have to be preparing people. I have been a big advocate of Lubbock 101, which is such an important program to engage the public and let them understand how city government functions. The other thing that I've done is I've been very supportive of programs. We used ARPA dollars, so it costs absolutely nothing to our citizens, but to help our employees to get in there. They can go, you know, obtain their degrees or the necessary credentials to help us help our public. So it's win-win. And then for me, I want to identify from, you know, that's why I'm always telling people, do the Lubbock 101, because I think when you understand city government, you can serve better and you can be more impactful. So that's, I think, is really important. I know that, you know, when I first came in, I said, I want to continue to improve infrastructure, and we're doing it. We're doing it with water treatments, with sewer lines, we're doing it with street maintenance, we're doing it putting new things like the splash pads, converting things and being smarter about what we're delivering to the community, engaging the people, having their input. Of course, the Civic Center is going to be an amazing project and opportunity, not just for my district, but the city at large. I think that's significant. We've got to, as a community also, you know, too often we're overcoming all the bad things, but I think it's also important that people see all the great things, all the nonprofits, all the organizations that work collectively with the city. And then, you know, I always say to folks, be the change you want to see in the world. Get involved. We have so many board and advisory commission opportunities. If you don't like something, get involved. And then one other thing, we have this app that we highly encourage. It's My LBK. It is a great tool, and I wish every household would use it more, because I think that would be great. Of course, I sponsored one of the new ordinances with the animal services, and we have microchipping. We have, and you saw my role in that. I was a big advocate of animal services. I made it a point to sustain the fence program. We have the microchipping. We have spay and neutering programs. We have a fence program, but the other thing that we need is for the public to be more responsible in these pets. I hate to see a loose dog with their ribs showing. That's a terrible thing to see. But we are also limited, so we need to restore what we can do for employees and bring and recruit. We've given them the tools, but things also have increased. The cost that we see every day happening to us at a house, at our homes, is also happening at City Hall. So
it's a lot of things you have
I
on
know,
the agenda.
but I've tackled them.
It's almost
I've
like
been
you're
there.
excited or something.
I am excited. So, and I want to keep serving the community, because, you know, I've demonstrated that people can talk about things, but action is everything, and commitment is very, very important. So
Really appreciate your time.
Yes.
Christy Martinez-Garcia is a candidate for District 1, Lubbock City Council. She is the incumbent. If you'd like to see more of our conversations with the candidates, we have them at kcbd.com, including her opponent, Pat Kelly. We'll remind you that early voting starts April 20th and Election Day is May 2nd. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for educating the public, because I think these are the types of opportunities where they get to hear and see what's happening.
Thank you so much for coming in.